Good morning and welcome to Thrive, Not Survive. I am so glad that you're here. I'm your host, Nasira Jamal, and today I have a very special guest on the show. Her name is Sharon Fillmore, but before I bring her on and introduce her to you, I just want to let you know that, I met Sharon a few years ago on my book journey, and it's been an amazing way of understanding what she does, and that's why I wanted to bring her on today, because she is a life coach and uses NLP in her business or in her coaching to help people get over certain blockages and things that are perhaps limiting them. So that's who Sharon is. I hope yesterday's broadcast helped you in terms of at least being aware of finding that inner peace and how do you get there. So I hope that that was helpful. Now I'm going to bring Sharon on so she can tell us about her journey and about how she could help all of us through this challenging time that we're going through and being home. So let me introduce to you my dear friend, and actually you've helped me a lot. So Sharon, welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here.
I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
So let me just, first of all, I was going to introduce your book. You wrote the book. Do you have a copy there?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. So you wrote The Vital Link. How was it been a couple of years?
Actually, yeah, it's about a year and a half since it came out.
Right. And so can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and your journey, sort of how you got to where you are at now?
Okay. Actually, it's been a really fun, interesting journey. I had always wanted to be a writer from a young age. And then, like anything else, I put it on the shelf and I went on about my life and I became a nurse and I worked in nursing for a long time. And my goal is always to help people. No matter what I do, there has to be a helping role. And that was one of the reasons why I wrote the book. So the book is about 9 ways to find vitality in your life. And it also made me realize that I could actually go out there and help people on a deeper level, on a more personal level. So that's when I decided to become a coach. And I started out taking traditional coaching programs and then decided that I would also take some additional coaching programs. So that's when I took the NLP or neuro-linguistic programming. I also have taken something called verbal Aikido. I'm a verbal Aikido master, which is someone who masters verbal communication. So I teach a lot about how to speak to one another as well.
That is amazing. I didn't know that part about you.
I'm also a Reiki practitioner, and I sort of dabble in many different anything that will help my coaches, my coaching, so that my clients can empower themselves and move on. One of the things that I do, probably one of the biggest things I do, is I help people change their beliefs. When you're young, you develop, most of your beliefs are developed by the time you're around 5 or 7 years old, and they don't really change, but we do. And one of the big things I find is people come and talk to me, it's because their beliefs aren't serving them anymore. And I help them to figure out what beliefs they want and to change their old beliefs so that the new ones are now serving them.
So is that how you use like the neuro-linguistic programming, hypnotherapy, like all of the different modalities?
All the different modalities. So in the inside of neuro-linguistic programming, it's really about communication and personality. And what we do is we take into consideration your personality, the way you speak, your body language, then we go into how you've been raised. All of those things come into telling your story. And then what we do is we help you to change your story to the one that you want. It's kind of an interesting sort of balance between figuring out what it is who you are and what it is you want and helping you get there.
That's amazing. I think, in terms of what we're going through right now, such challenging times, and people are really having to figure out, sort of at the deeper level of what all of this is, who they are, what it means, what is their purpose, what is all of this after COVID-19, or who are we going to be after COVID-19? So it's really an inward journey at this point, right? Because we are pretty much limited to our homes. And, if we're not an essential worker, we're really just being very cautious of where we are, right? So I wanted to ask you, like, this was something that I know you and I talked about, but what can we do right now in terms of our mental state? What kind of thing would you say to set ourselves up for some success during our day while we're under this kind of stress levels? Would you be able to suggest something that we could do, perhaps even practice it today?
Yeah. If you like, we can do a grounding exercise right now. It only takes a few minutes. And then we can talk about some other things that would be really helpful.
Yeah, so that's perfect. So if you guide us through it, I know some of my audience come in after, for a replay, so they'll be able to follow along. But whoever's here, if you guys want to follow along, Sharon, guide us through.
All right. So I'd like everyone to put their feet on the floor and just relax, and relax your hands on your thighs and close your eyes. I'd like you to imagine that there are roots coming from your waist, and they're twining down your legs and into the ground. And I'd like you to imagine that there are roots coming from your feet, and they're going down into the ground, all the way down, and you can see them growing around big tree stumps and rocks, and they're growing deeper into the ground. And you can feel your feet firm on the ground. And you know that if you need to walk or run, you'll be able to do that. And each time you'll be planted on the ground, feeling strong, feeling ready, feeling wise. I'd like you to imagine now that there are tree limbs growing from your shoulders and your arms, up in the air, way up, and you can see beautiful green leaves sprouting on your limbs. And you feel strong, so strong. And you feel like you're grounded. And you move when you need to move. And you stand still when you need to stand still. Now I want you to imagine from the heavens, there's a beautiful white light. It comes down through the top of your head. And you can feel it in the top of your head and in the back of your eyes and your nose and mouth. It's going down the back of your head into your neck. Now it's following all the branches on your arms, and it goes up. And you can see the white light entering every branch, every cell, every leaf. And it's beautiful and radiant. And you can see the white light shining through. The white light is now going down your trunk, your chest, and your abdomen. It's going through your hips and your buttocks. And you can see the white light is following your roots, down your legs, and through your feet into the ground. And you can see the white light is shining through all the roots as you watch it follow into the earth. For a moment, I want you to sit here and feel grounded, feel the strength, feel the power and the control within you. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Now tell me how you feel.
There's a sense of real calm. Like inside, it's just like the water's just settled almost.
It is. And if people do that twice a day, what will happen is they will think ground, and boom, they'll ground right away. They won't even have to think about it. And it's one of the simplest things that I teach people that can empower you, because when you're in a situation and you're upset, or you feel yourself going, then you can immediately ground yourself. And once you're grounded, then you can see things more clearly.
That's, I think that's probably one of those things, especially at this time where people are not feeling grounded or they're so unsettled because of the unknown, right? The timing is unknown, the outcomes are unknown. There's so much unknown that I feel like this exercise is probably going to allow people to at least find that place within to have that firm hold, right?
Exactly. And it gives you that ability to feel like you can move on. This is a time we can take it as a time where it's terrible and our lives are falling apart, or we can take it as a time to renew. And that's one of the things that while coaching can do, you can do that at home, is to renew and figure out what your next steps are in life. Maybe your next steps are something completely different. And this is the time when you can sit down and figure it out, decide what it is you want next in life, and start taking steps towards that, because you're home.
Yep. And I think that's the thing, right? It's the way you look at things. And I've quoted this over the last couple of weeks, Wayne Dyer's, famous quote on saying, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Exactly.
So if we look at this as a silver lining, in terms of giving us this time that we all came down to have a reset, right? We're just given that time where we would never have taken this for ourselves to reevaluate, to connect, to reconnect. Like we would just never, because we're robotic in the way of how we live our life, right? Like we're cooking, we're running around, we do all of these things, but we're not really focused on who we are, what we want to do. There's no mission. Because we're just life. It's just life, right?
It is. It's life. We're just moving along, and we are so busy just as a people. Normally, this is a time where you can really think about what it is you want. And there's a saying, if you change your perception, you change everything. So if you perceive something one way and you change that, then all of your thoughts and actions change as well, because we have what we perceive creates our thoughts, and our thoughts create our actions. So if your perception is not serving you, it's not what you want, then think about how to change your perception. And so I have a funny little story that I can tell that kind of demonstrates that. So say you're driving down the highway and someone cuts you off, and you think, oh, I'm going to get them. I'm really angry. How dare they? So you come in behind them and you think, I'm going to make sure this person knows and what's going on. They get off the freeway and you see them make a left turn at the end. So you go down, you make the left turn, and you get up behind them just in time to see someone jump out of the car with a baby in their hand and run into the emergency room. Are you mad at them now? Are you really angry because they cut you off? You're not. Your perception has changed. Now you're worried about the baby. So, and that's one of the things to think of in life, is if we can change our perception, we can change everything. Our thoughts, our actions. And then, of course, once we change our actions, then we move forward in life in all the right areas.
Yeah. And I guess that's that inner knowing again, right? When you are connected and you can sort of change that perception of what's going on and say, okay, all right, yes, right now we're on a standstill, but what can I do for myself that will allow me to find a different way? Maybe it's not what I had planned, right? Mm-hmm. I could have envisioned a way my life was going, but now perhaps it's going to open some other opportunities, other ways, other people, circumstances, if we allow it to come within us on a very high positive vibration, as opposed to that negative vibration where we are worried and, the doom and gloom and the world is ending and all of that stuff, right? So it allows that perspective you're talking about, allows us to shift our vibration, right?
Exactly. And once you shift your vibration, then you send out a different vibration. And so it attracts the same thing. So you'll be attracted to people, and they will be attracted to you, who want the same things.
Right.
And then you develop community.
Yep. And I think this is another thing that's come up out of all of this is, though we are dislocated from the physical contact, we are building community in such a different way that we never ever imagined we would build community through virtual, Zoom calls and these kinds of meetings and interviews. And people are coming together and helping each other from such a different place of love and compassion and kindness that I believe our world after COVID-19 will look a lot different.
I think it will. I think in some ways, I think it's going to be much better because it's exactly it. People are coming together. We're caring more about each other. And I think we're trying in our own ways to really help. And yeah, I think we're there's always a silver lining in every cloud. And so let's find it.
Let's find it. Exactly. So, you know what, I appreciate like sort of the insight that you've given us. I've had different people come on and share some insights and light and, their own perspective. And I think, you and I share some of this stuff that we talk about because we've learned about energy and modalities and frequency, law of attraction, and we've really made that sort of our learning, right, over the last whatever number of years. I think that, there's a lot to be had in terms of sharing the information and giving people resources. So I did put your website on the bottom if anybody wants to check it out or want to get a hold of you. I'll also share your email address. Just if somebody wants to email you, is that okay for them to just kind of...
Actually, that would be great. Actually, if people email me, I can send them out a meditation that I think is appropriate for this time.
Perfect. You know what? And that would probably be very helpful for those that are either tuning in now or later if they want to get some sort of resources that you have that they could use right away that will help them. So in terms of anything else that you want to share with us, with the audience, of something that maybe will help them, as we continue on right now being home?
There is one thing. I have been a nurse for over 40 years. And one of the things that I've done in some teaching in the past, and I've taught people how to put on and take off their PPE. One of the things I notice when I'm out there, I just cringe because I see people taking their PPE off incorrectly. So particularly their gloves. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to teach people how to do that today.
I think that's perfect. I'm just going to,
I have so what it is you're going to take, whoops, let's see, can you see?
There,
one hand, and you're going to grab the glove in the middle and you pull it off. And when you pull it off, you pull it inside out so that and you put it in a ball inside your other hand like this. And you're going to take a couple fingers, go underneath. You don't want to touch this part of the glove because that's the part where you might have the virus. So you're going to take your hands and then the virus is inside. And please be sure you put these in the garbage. Okay.
That is amazing, because I have been going out, like my husband, I think I was telling you before, I have been going out and he gives me the gloves and the mask, and then I come out and then I'm, taking them off so I can get in the car. And he has been telling me, you're doing it all wrong, so it's good to know, even though we're taking precautions, we still have to do it properly for it to be useful, right? So I think that's the key, right? Is to get this information on how to do it properly, because it's not something, you're a nurse, so you have that background. For all of us, really, this is a brand new thing that we're just kind of figuring it out ourselves, right? Trying to protect ourselves, our families, and the community at large.
Yeah. And one more thing, be sure that you use hand sanitizer or you wash your hands before you take your mask off.
Oh, perfect.
Okay.
So I guess that would be if you're going to a grocery store, you would have your hand sanitizer or something in your pocket, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I have mine in the car, so I would come back to the car. But I guess that would be, if you have a little one you
can keep it in the car. It's just that when you take your gloves off to open the door and then hand sanitize and then take your mask off.
Got it. Okay. All right. So just to have it around you when you have all these things going on. I think it's great, like in terms of sharing this information, because people are trying to be careful. I think people are making every attempt to keep safe, but sometimes not knowing the right way to do it could actually, also be then a false sense of security.
It is, and that's one of the things that wearing masks and gloves they do tend to give people a false sense of security. And really, we still have to be really careful about how we go about doing things, because we don't want to recontaminate. We don't want to throw things on the ground, and then because the virus lives so long, we don't want somebody stepping on it and then trucking it through our house. Right.
Right. Right. So I think it's just being more aware. Like, I think our awareness is heightened now, right?
Yeah.
In terms of how we're doing things, how we're buying things, how all of these things has just heightened our awareness, right? So we're becoming more conscious about it.
Exactly. And I think for the most part, Canadians are doing a really great job. Especially, I've been watching the world since this whole thing started. And I do think that, for the most part, there's always a few. However, we're doing a great job. And I would really like people to continue to do a great job, even though a month, we're all getting a little cabin fever right now.
Yes. And I think this is why we need other ways of, ways to come out of that feeling of cabin fever in a safe way, right? There are ways. I mean, we can do all of the different exercises at home. We can join gym classes, and there's a lot of resources out there. It's just about finding that motivation within to go find it, right? Like it doesn't cost anything. I think there's enough free resources out there that we could really empower ourselves and our families to be okay through this, right? We are going to get through this. I mean, this is it.
We're Canadians.
Yeah,
we're gonna get through this.
We're gonna do it together. We're gonna get through this, and I think I think that's the thing, right? Like you said, we're Canadians. We're resilient, and we're going to come together as a nation and help each other, right? So when we are doing these kinds of things and offering resources and, going and delivering, maybe the neighbor's not well and you want to just go give them a meal. I mean, these are things that really bring out a different frequency from within.
It does. It brings out this frequency of care, of love. And as long as you're showing people care and love, they can't help but feel better inside themselves, and then they're going to bring that out as well. I mean, exactly. It's that old saying, what comes around goes around. Well, when love comes around, it goes around.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing we tap into, right? Like sometimes, we're always sort of programmed to think how we remember the negative things, or somebody said this and I was hurt and right? We can change that program in terms of saying, well, why don't we do the same? If things go around, what goes around comes around. Why don't we use the other higher frequency of love, compassion, kindness, and let's spread that around. Let's pay that forward. Right?
Exactly. And I think that's what Canadians are doing. And I'm out, when I go out for a walk, I notice everyone tries to, keep their distance for the most part. And also we talk to one another. I'm talking to people in my neighborhood that I've never spoken to before. And it's because, we're are you okay? We're asking people, are you okay? Are you managing? And it's really, it's like having Christmas all year round.
Yes, there's such a joyous feeling, right? When you are able to connect to people from that level. Are you okay? Right? Yeah. Because you want to help. If somebody isn't okay, I think we all want to just kind of say, how can we rally together to help anybody at this point, right? Exactly. And our differences now are so not there, like religion and creed and, all of these differences that separated us is actually now, I feel like there isn't, right? Because we're all just saying we can help whoever needs help.
Exactly. And we're coming together, and I think we're going to make a better world when this is done. We're going to make a much better world.
I think so too. And, I appreciate your perspective. And like I said, I know you, and we've had, I've had a session with you, and it's always nice to understand the brain, our subconscious mind, our conscious mind in a different way. So I think, for all of us that are home, I think we can take on some maybe new learning, get on a new skill, figure some of this stuff out that's more at a deeper level in terms of our of who we are, right? Like in our learning and the evolution of our learning.
Exactly. And this is the time to take and just think about, your steps moving forward. What are the things that are most important to you? And if, you're in a relationship, talk to that person and find out what it is the two of you want individually, and then look at what it is because you're going to find out that there's a lot of things you want together, and you can start working on those things right now.
Right. Yeah. And that brings excitement, right, to your life, to your world. Like, I'm excited to do that.
yeah, makes things exciting. It brings you closer together, and you have like a partner to do things now. And one of the things as couples, very often they don't take enough time to figure out what it is they both love. Because as your partner, when you sit down and you think about what you want, and he thinks about what he wants, and you come together, you figure out what you want together, but you also know what he wants. That's different from as a couple, and you can sometimes surprise him with that.
Yeah.
Which is a wonderful gift. One of the things I have found about couples is very often there's one of them who doesn't seem to share what they want, what their wants are. So the other spouse can have a really hard time figuring out, what to do for them.
Right.
And this way you figure it out, and you have a list. You can even check it off.
Right. Right. And I guess that's the part, right? You get to know, even though, let's say as a couple, you've known each other for 15 years, but this deeper sort of introspection and who they are and what they like and what they want brings couples much more closer together. And then after COVID-19 and we go back, I don't think that learning goes away, right? Like now you know that person deeper, and that carries on with you as to how you then live your life.
It does. It'll help you decide how you're going to move forward as a couple. It'll help solidify your relationship.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to show your love in ways that they will appreciate. We're all different, right? We all need different things. And so like an example is some people need to be shown love by touching, and other people is by deeds.
Yes.
So knowing the different people knowing each other really well, and knowing what really makes them tick and what they want in life, that makes a big difference.
It does. And I think, I've been taking a course on just the different communication styles, because we all communicate differently. Mm-hmm. And in terms of when you figure out that the other person communicates or understands it in a certain way, and if you deliver that information in the way they understand it, there's so much more harmony, that whether it's your spouse, your children, your boss, right? Like whoever.
There's harmony, and there's understanding, and all those things bring people together, and that brings more love and connection.
Absolutely. And I think that's the key. Like all of this is connection, harmony, love, all of these frequencies that we talk about, but now we have the time to practice it, right? Now we're actually applying the learning that we know. And because we all talk about, take deep breaths or meditate or journal. We talk about all of these things, but a lot of times the knowledge is there, but the time sort of isn't there, or we figure that our other life stuff is much more important. We're busy, right? And now we have the time to actually apply all of this learning and see the benefits of it.
Exactly. And there's so many benefits that you'll see when you come down the road in 6 months, in a year. A lot of things will start to, what happens is, we take in this information and all of this, and it goes into what we might call our unconscious mind. And when we need it, it comes forward. And that's what will happen, is it will come forward exactly when you need it.
When you need it. Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of time in terms of when we need it, things show up. It's like, teacher appears when the student is ready, right? It's the same kind of thing. And I think the universe sends us messages when we are ready to hear it, use it, apply it, and it all works in our benefit. I think all of these challenges are still to our benefit. There's something for all of us.
Oh, definitely. Yes. There is definitely something for all of us. And, sometimes you might have to look a little bit for it, but it's there.
It's there. And I think that's it, right? You do have to look for it, or sometimes we think we know what we're looking for, but it shows up differently. So I think we have to keep an open mind about whatever shows up, and then looking at it at a different level or a different perspective.
Exactly. And remember, there's what is it? There's 3 sides to every story. There's your side, your partner's side, and then there's the truth, right?
Right.
Somewhere in the middle, because we all perceive things differently.
Yes.
And it's only by having those great conversations with each other that you can get to that middle ground where you can find the truth and peace and security that we're all looking for as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what? Thank you so much. This was an awesome interview. I love it. Please share. I'm asking my audience to share. Please, on your page, you can share. I really, from the bottom of my heart, I'm so grateful that you took this time to be with us. And I will, of course, see you virtually over the next little bit. And then hopefully one of these days, meet you in person again.
I would love to see you again in person.
Yeah. We'll have a cup of tea.
Right? Virtual. Oh, we can always have a cup of tea online. I have had brunches online and dinners online. And
people have gotten so creative. I've seen birthday parties online. I've seen engagement announcements, and families have gone together on Zoom and different platforms. So I think there's a lot of people that are still enjoying and celebrating and doing what they can do to still stay connected. And I think that's key for people that are maybe feeling at home a little bit lost, is find those connections, connect with the people, even virtually. It will feed you that sense of belonging.
Exactly. It's staying connected that is really important.
And I think that's probably the key in all of this, is just let's all stay connected. Let's help each other. Let's make sure that, we are emitting the frequency we want to receive. So if we are emitting compassion and love and kindness, then that's going to come back tenfold. So again, I want to thank you for your time. I'm so grateful. I'm so very grateful. I'm sure my audience has enjoyed it. I will see you soon. I'm going to end the broadcast, so just give me one quick second. Thank you, everybody that joined. If you're on replay, please hashtag replay. I am so grateful that you are here. I hope that the grounding exercise helped you and that you were able to get some insight from Sharon, because she really has a perspective of how to feed your inner self and be the best version of you. So I want to wish you a happy Thursday. I will see you again tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I actually have a very special guest coming on. She is going to share some self-care tips on our hair and beauty. She is an amazing soul. So tomorrow, look out for Manon, who's going to join me at 10 a.m. So happy Thursday. I'll see you all tomorrow at 10.